Hi, everyone. Some of the people are speaking out about the Karen Reed trial. We have a juror that was on there. We have John O'Keefe's brother, Paul O'Keefe, who testified, by the way. And then we have, I think, a friend that was close to John O'Keefe, the victim. And yes, I have COVID right now, and it's not fun. If you guys saw my Discord notifications, y'all know that I'm suffering right now, and it is not the greatest. So that's why we're not doing a live stream, because I don't want you guys to suffer, because too much is going on with the COVID stuff. But I hope you guys are having a great week so far. And I already miss you guys. I feel like we're streaming like almost every day with the Karen Reed stuff. But yeah, let's just jump right into this, because I don't know how long I have before everything is going to go into a meltdown mode. But so far, we have a juror that spoke up. They're dubbed as juror number 3. Now, this juror didn't participate in deliberations. Unfortunately, they were chosen as an alternate. And I just want to read what I believe it's a she, but I just want to talk about what they said. They felt like it was really painful to watch the families of Karen Reed, John O'Keefe there throughout the entire process in the courtroom as everyone was testifying. Both sides were presenting their case, and we got to see how close everyone was in that courtroom. I was told that the reason why the courtroom was so small is because Karen Reed's defense, they wanted to make sure that the people that were on the jury would be able to see the people that are testifying, the witnesses, maybe their facial expressions, maybe, a close look of whether or not Michael Proctor was truthful on the stand, whether or not you can believe him. Same thing with the McCabe's and the Alberts and stuff. So I think that was probably a good choice. That way the jury can really see. And then, so this juror said that people on the jury, they were really good to each other. Apparently they celebrated birthdays together. They did puzzles together. But they felt like, just imagine like sitting there for so long, listening, not being able to talk about this with anyone, and then you don't get to participate in the deliberation. That is a tough one, because I'm sure at this point they probably went home and talked about it to their family members and friends. But I mean, if I was a member of the jury, I would want to talk about it with the other people who are also been sitting there for this past couple weeks. That way you can get some things off of your mind. And also remember, this trial wasn't like a straightforward one. There are so many floating theories out there. There's so many inconsistencies, in my opinion. And I feel like being able to talk to your fellow jury members would just be more therapeutic, to really get everything down. Like, okay, so like, what do you guys think about this? X, Y, and Z? Like, oh, how do you think this went down? And like, do you think they're lying about this? All that stuff. So the juror said, I approached this trial as if I was taking one of my graduate level classes. I would be getting an A+ in note taking. Notably, though, the woman also said she didn't feel prosecutors had convinced her beyond a reasonable doubt that Reed was guilty of the charges. Now, this was also reported by, I think it was News Nation that I saw. Apparently, they had inside information that the jury quickly dismissed the second-degree murder, and they moved on to the lesser charges. However, when it came to the lesser charges, that's where there was a huge divide on whether or not they thought, the Commonwealth showed beyond a reasonable doubt that Karen Reed it was like a manslaughter involving like a vehicular, I always forget the phrasing of this. Manslaughter, vehicular, vehicle. No, that sounds horrible. I'm so sorry. I'm sick for it right now. But, and also being, under influence and then leaving the crime scene. So it seems like there was a divide in that. And remember, the way the jury wrote their note to Judge Canoni, it was like, some of us think that, it was beyond a reasonable doubt. And the rest of us, well, we just didn't see that. That's why I think there wasn't just like one person that was holding out or two. It seems like, it might have been like a good amount of people that are like starkly divided. It's not just about convincing one or two people to, agree with your opinion, coming to your side. But it seems like maybe it was just like a half and half split or something that was really close to that. That's what I was thinking. So at this point, I haven't heard from anyone that actually sat in the deliberations. But unlike so you guys remember Det v. Heard, where they requested to have the names of the jurors sealed for about a year after the verdict came out. So in Boston, apparently, Massachusetts, if there is no verdict, then the names of the jurors will not be released to the public. There has to be a verdict for that. So since this was a mistrial, we're never going to get the names of jurors. And I think that's good. I think it's good to, because I feel like if you're a member of the jury, you'll be pressured to like, oh, maybe I have to come with a decision because maybe people will find out what my name is and come after me, get mad at me. That was a mistrial. So a lot of pressure there. So I think that's good for Massachusetts. All right. And now next, I want to move on to John O'Keefe. So as we were watching the trial, I always wondered, what do the O'Keefes think? Like, we see the mom sitting there, the father, the brother, the sister-in-law, and it seems like they had a pretty good relationship with Karen Read. At least the brother did, the sister-in-law did, maybe even the parents as well. I just want to know, what do they think? Because I think they've been pretty quiet about this entire case. We've heard a little bit from Karen Read when she did the interview. We heard a little bit from Karen Read's parents. We've heard from, obviously the people that have been accused of maybe being involved in this. But I feel like when it came to the O'Keefes, it was just really quiet. Now, we saw moments in the trial where, they would get really emotional about certain testimonies, or, like maybe during closing arguments and stuff like that. But I saw that his mom was really, really emotional when the mistrial was declared. But I wasn't sure. It made it look like she was disappointed. Now, I don't know if she was disappointed because she felt like she didn't have any answers, or if she was disappointed because she thought the verdict was going to go one way and she was rooting for that. I'm not really quite sure, but she just seems so devastated, so sad. But her son, Paul O'Keefe, did an interview, so I want to hear from him.
My first question is obvious. Just how are you doing? How's your family doing?
I mean, we're doing all right, hanging in there. It's been a long, painful 2.5 years. And I mean, with the mistrial that happened the other day, obviously wasn't ideal, but if we have to do it again, we'll do it again. So we're ready to go.
So based on that statement, I'm starting to think that perhaps they do think that Karen Read did it, because if they thought she didn't do it, that she'll be found not guilty, then would they really care that there's another trial happening, right? So I feel like I think they want someone held responsible for this. What do you guys think? Usually we have a live stream chat and I can talk to you guys about this, but I'm just talking to a wall right now. So let me know what you guys think. Also, if you guys haven't already, join the Discord. We do talk about the cases in the Discord. Feel free to join. The link is down in the, it should be in the about the video description below. Yes.
Prior to jury deliberations, ever think a mistrial was even possible?
I kept everything was on the table.
Thank God this is not a live stream, okay?
I kept everything was on the table, I guess, but obviously hoping and confident that we were going to get the conviction that we were looking for. So as far as the mistrial, yes, it's...
So they do think that Karen Read was responsible.
Something we didn't want, obviously, but it's just a bump on the road, and like I said, we'll do it again. We'll do it as many times as we have to.
You'll be back in court every day for another long trial.
Absolutely.
How are your parents?
They're doing all right. That's more of my concern, is that they have to go through this again. I mean, I'll do it 10 more times if I have to, but I hate the fact that they have to go through this all again. We don't know where it's going to happen, when it's going to happen. But I mean, overall, they're doing okay.
Mm-hmm. And they have John's kids now too, or your sister's kids.
Yeah. So they're
we were wondering what happened to the kids. Oh.
Living in my brother's house in Canton. Raising my niece and nephew, who are 16 and 13. I wanted them to come down here and live with us, but my niece didn't want to leave Canton, didn't want to leave her friends, didn't want to leave her house, and
honestly, the vibes that I get from him, he just seems so defeated. Even though he's like, oh, we'll do the trial 10 more times if we have to. I don't mind sitting there. But I don't know, just the vibe that I'm getting. It just seems like it feels like the fight is already out of him, but he's willing to show up for his brother.
Kind of hard to force a kid who's been through as much as they've been through to kind of shake up their world, for, I guess, a third time.
Yeah, I mean, can you just talk about Kaylee and Patrick? I mean, they, because we didn't put them on camera or anything, of course, during the trial, I had a lot of people ask me, like, what were they like? And they seemed like, for a reason, very, very strong kids.
They're great kids. They're strong kids. They're resilient kids. They have every excuse in the world not to be good kids. My niece Kaylee, super strong. When asked if she wanted to testify. We told them they didn't have to, and she said absolutely she wants to. She wanted her voice heard, her story heard. Wanted people to listen to her. She felt like because she was, 14 at the time, that no one wanted to listen to her. So she was strong and insisted on doing it. And my nephew was, he wanted to support her. So he said, if she does it, I'll do it. So I'm proud of them both for doing what they did.
Yeah. Yeah, they were really strong when they got on the stand. It was amazing. Do you feel comfortable telling me, just from all that you've learned over the last 2.5 years, like what you think happened that night?
Oh, we know what happened. We know that Johnny and Karen were arguing. It was kind of towards the end of their relationship. Things weren't well. They were drinking and arguing and fighting, and in an intoxicated state of rage and jealousy, she just decided that she was going to do something about it, and put the car in reverse and ran him down and left him there to die. And we figured it out as soon as she left the house that day when she came over. We didn't talk to any investigators, state police, nobody. My mother had said, do you think she had something to do with this? And I said, we're not going to think like that. Went outside to the driveway to look at her car, and her car was gone. It was a blizzard. I knew what the driving conditions were like coming from the hospital to Canton. And I knew that they were going back to Dighton, which was a much further drive.
Mm-hmm. What's interesting is that they had the Nest footage where he was cleaning off the snow, and I think I saw him going towards the back of her car, but Lolly never asked us on the stand, though, so maybe he didn't notice whether or not there was a broken taillight.
We put it together pretty quickly.
I was going to ask you that next, so you took the words out of my mouth. It was like, when did you realize? It was literally that morning.
Yeah, so I would say early afternoon when they came back to the house. She wanted to come over and see the kids. Didn't really interact with them at all. Was there for probably a total of 30 minutes. Didn't say much or anything. And half of her time was upstairs gathering her things. Then my wife spoke to her on the phone on their way back to Dighton. And she told my wife that just have to remember the bad times. And I don't think I'm ever going to talk to you guys again.
Was that phone call what made you sure of what had happened?
I still don't know what that means. I remember, I think his wife testified about that. I don't know what that means.
Absolutely, yeah. We already, like I said.
Or like, how would you interpret that if someone told you, oh, just got to remember the bad times? Like, what does that mean?
We put the pieces together on our own, and that just really solidified it. Mm-hmm. Why would somebody say that? Why would someone say, if you didn't do anything, why would you say you're never going to talk to us again? Or why do you have to remember the bad times? Almost like justifying what she did.
Right. How would you have expected her to act in that situation if she hadn't done something?
More sad, empathetic, sympathetic. But like I said, when she was at the house, she barely said a word. She wanted to be there for the kids. My nephew came home. My niece was already home by the time she got there, and her family arrived. And I sat down, my nephew in the other room, she sat right next to him. I explained to him that JJ's, something happened and he's no longer with us. She didn't say a word. And right after that, she went upstairs and started gathering her belongings, and the next thing you know, they were gone.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's hard. It's a strange behavior.
Very strange.
I think, was that maybe the last time they ever saw Karen Reed, possibly?
When did the whole narrative of her version of events become known to you?
Well, if you remember her first arraignment in Stoughton District Court,
yeah.
Her attorney, David Unetti, had said this is a tragic accident. His client had no criminal intent. Mm-hmm. And then, fast forward to, I guess, when Alan Jackson came on board. And, they teamed up with a blogger to get their story that they concocted and put together and flooded out there. And people were only hearing one side of the story and coming to conclusions before actual evidence in the trial had actually begun. So a lot of the public was misinformed, because they were only getting one side of the story. And, we didn't come out and tell our side of the story or, what we thought or knew happened. We've kept a low profile and have been silent through this whole ordeal. But, now it's time. Now it's time for people to understand the truth. And, the jurors, we thank them. They did a great job. They put in a lot of hours, paid a lot of attention, worked hard. Unfortunately, they weren't able to come to, a consensus as far as a verdict goes. But, we have another chance at it, and, hopefully the jury that we get for.
But here's what I'm also wondering: is Lolly gonna go for second-degree murder? I mean, assuming what News Nation reported is true, is he gonna go for second-degree murder this time, or do you think he's just gonna go after Karen Reed for manslaughter?
Second time around, we'll see things more clearly.
So, just so I'm clear, you think this all started when Alan Jackson showed up, and Karen, throughout the course of this trial, you think she knows what she did?
She knows exactly what she did, and she's trying to buy and lie her way out of this, refusing to take accountability for her actions. Not only that, but pointing the finger and blaming innocent people.
Yeah, talk to me about that. I mean, because the thing is, the story on the defense's side is not just, oh, she didn't do it. It's, she didn't do it, and all these other people did.
Yeah, I mean, she's pointing the finger at everybody. Everyone's lying, except for her, according to her. I think we had 67 witnesses testify. 68, I'm sorry,
That's
testify.
Right.
And according to them, they're all lying, and they're not credible, and, which, I mean, there's first responders that were just doing their job that day. Jen McCabe, Kerry Roberts, all they did was pick up the phone and help because she was asking for help. And according to them, the only one telling the truth is her.
Right. So I don't even know what to call them. We have a variety of names. The pink people.
The pink people. I guess she means the Karen Reed supporters because they wear the pink shirts.
They turned on all those people first. Jen McCabe, Matt McCabe. But then how have they treated you guys over the course of the last year and a half?
Well, if you just go back to any video of us walking into court during pretrial hearings, yelling, screaming, calling us names.
Really?
To this day, I don't know what I did wrong. I get messages all the time, whether through Facebook or other ways of communication, telling me that I'm a moron, I'm stupid, need to open my eyes and all this stuff. But I ignore those. I don't really care what people say to me because this isn't about me. This is about my brother. And I like to think I know a little bit more of what's going on in the case than people that are just reading stuff on the internet. And there's been things said about me, accusations about me, all types of things that just aren't true. But again, I just brush it off because this isn't about me.
So if these people buy into this big conspiracy, right, that Brian Albert's a murderer or whoever, okay, if they buy into that, why are they turning on you guys? Has that ever made sense to you?
Because we don't believe in a crazy conspiracy theory that holds no merit, no evidence. I mean, we know these people. I mean, Jen McCabe has been a family friend of ours. She was friends with my sister. We've known her for over 10 years. She was very helpful with...
That's what I was wondering. I was wondering if they were close with Jen McCabe, Kerry Roberts, maybe the Alberts, or if they were just like, they only got close because of this case. I was wondering that.
Picking Kaylee up to and fro when he took over raising the kids. Kerry Roberts we've known for a very, very long time, right? And at the time, she didn't really know Jen McCabe or any of the McCabes or Alberts. And her testimony corroborated everything that Jen said, and the defense, I think, was scared of her and didn't even want to ask her any questions. They just wanted her off the stand. And I guess the negative or hate that's directed towards me, mostly me and my mother, is because we support these people who are being falsely accused of something they didn't do, right? And their lives have been turned upside down and partially ruined. Colin Albert, who was a 17-year-old kid at the time, his life has been turned upside down and ruined. I've gotten to know the Alberts through all this, and they're all
so they got to know the Alberts.
Good people. So just because we don't believe in a crazy conspiracy theory, and we believe that Karen Reed is guilty of killing my brother, they take it on us.
Doesn't it feel sometimes like your brother's forgotten in all of this?
Absolutely, all the time. It's turned into the Karen Reed show. She walks through a crowd that cheers her on. She goes out in public, takes pictures, signs autographs. She's just living her life like nothing's ever happened. And meanwhile, my brother's been gone for almost 2.5 years. And I just want people to go back to who the victim is in this. It's not her. It's my brother.
What do you want people to know about John? You call him Johnny. Kids call him JJ.
Yeah. I mean, my older brother. So, I mean, generous, loyal. Sometimes a pain in the ass to me. I'm sorry, pain in the butt to me.
You can say pain in the ass.
Just because he was my older brother, but he just was there if you needed him. Took care of the people that he loved. Good-hearted guy who didn't deserve any of this. You know, he rearranged and uprooted his life. Went from a single the bachelor lifestyle living in Boston to moving into instant dad role, and that's something that obviously everyone admires him the most for, and I do too. It wasn't easy for him at the beginning, but he learned to figure it out, and we all helped as much as we could without getting in the way. Just an overall good guy.
And I assume he chose to do that, right? I mean, your sister's situation is unimaginable.
You think she's going to ask how he thinks of Lolly's performance? How do you think the state did when they presented the case? Do you think they were convincing? Do you think they did a good job?
Yeah, so then, after my brother-in-law passed away.
Or do they also feel disappointed in Lolly's performance?
We had to figure out, all right, what do we do? And at the time, my wife and I were like, all right, we'll take them in. At the time, we had a 3-year-old and an 8-month-old. So we were trying to figure out how are we gonna do this? Our house was small. We didn't really want to live in the house that they both passed away in, but we were trying to figure it out the best way possible. And then Johnny just stepped up one day and just said, I got it.
Wow.
And then pretty much moved in the next day and took it from there for 8 years.
So there's a reason that's why so many people describe that that's what they admired about him.
Yeah, I mean, a selfless act, changing your life, to take care of his family and people he loves. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's him in a nutshell.
I know I asked you how your mom's doing already or how your parents are doing, but I just can't imagine for her losing 2 kids.
Yeah.
Is she like a different person now?
She's a strong woman, I'll give her that.
Yeah.
It's unimaginable, just to lose them in the ways that she did. My sister suffering for 5.5 months with brain cancer.
Yeah.
Oh.
But at least I had the opportunity to say goodbye, and then, my brother just being taken from us so quickly and senselessly. I don't know, somehow she keeps it all together. My father, quiet, kind of keeps to himself. Mm-hmm. But I mean, overall, what they've gone through it's unfair.
Yeah.
It's unimaginable. But they're strong and they keep moving forward, and just same thing. They do what they have to do to take care of their family.
I have to ask you, we got ushered out of the courtroom pretty quickly on Monday. You had a little exchange with Karen. Do you mind? What happened there?
Wait, he did? Oh, I had no idea. Wait, outside of the courtroom?
So throughout the trial, she likes to look at me and smirk. She's never once made eye contact with my wife, Erin. So when the mistrial was announced, she turned and looked right at Erin and gave her a smirk, and then went over and hugging and celebrating to some extent. And I just said, you're not done yet.
Did she say something back?
No, but I mean, it was an emotional day, emotional moment, being in that courtroom, sitting so closely, and that's something that she wanted.
Yeah, can you talk about that? I mean, the courtroom switch, we know all the legal reasons why it happened, but you guys were like arm's length from her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were so close to each other. That's like uncomfortable close. Like how close the defendant was to the family members. I think on both sides, it would have just been really weird because like as she's sitting there, she could probably see like them like looking at her, and then also, them sitting so close to, I guess now we know who they think killed John O'Keefe.
For the entire trial.
Yep. I guess after a while, you just got used to it, but yeah, showing up every day, sitting that close to the person that took my brother away from us, it was not easy. It took a lot to not say anything, but again, it wasn't about me. We were there for one purpose and one purpose only, and that's to get justice for Johnny.
What did Adam and Laura say to you guys afterwards? Like what, looking ahead?
Yeah, I mean, they were.
Oh, Adam, Lolly, and Laura, I think, was the attorney that was helping him.
Disappointed in the outcome, but like Adam said, he goes, we're just going to do it again. He goes, I'll start tomorrow. So they're confident.
They're confident? Are you sure? Oh, man, I don't know. Does Lolly really feel confident, or does he just want to show the family that he's exuding strength and confidence and maybe like make the family members? I just can't imagine Lolly being confident in this.
They have the truth on their side. Unfortunately, if you pay high-powered attorneys enough and put enough lies out there, you start influencing people to the point where there's just no turning back. Mm-hmm. I think people just don't want to admit that they were wrong or duped. But they're they're confident, and we're going to go at it again.
He being Adam, has been, like, he's kept to himself a lot, similar to you guys over the course of this.
Yep.
Do you think that's been hard?
I'm sure it's been extremely hard on him. You know, he's not the type that looks at social media or pays attention to any of that stuff. He just keeps his head down and does his job.
Good for him.
You know, he's not the flashy attorney that wants to be on camera all the time and have press conferences on the stairs like some people. He's
Shots fired.
just a hardworking, you know, I guess nose to the grindstone kind of guy, and just does his job.
I mean, Yannetti and Jackson, they were pretty quick with their press conference, so it wasn't like they were sitting there marinating in the limelight. I felt like they just said what they needed to say, and then they just got the heck out of there. I was disappointed that we didn't get to hear from Lolly, though. There was a statement that was released from the DA. Lolly's the ADA, but I wanted to hear from Mr. Lolly. Like, honestly, I wanted to know what Lolly was going to say about the mistrial, what his thoughts were, and how much conviction he had in going after Karen Reed again. Like, if he's just like, oh, yeah, we'll just do it again. Or if he's like, we're going to do it again. Like, we're going to get her, you know? Like, I just want to know where Mr. Lolly's at. Because is Mr. Lolly really going to go after her again? Especially with second-degree murder?
It was a very difficult job. But he's never once really complained about it, you know, to us anyway.
Yeah.
I know it's hard on him. I know it's hard on Laura. I know it's been hard on everyone who's been involved in this. But everyone's determined that we're just going to do it again.
And Lolly, he did all the direct examination, all the cross-examinations himself. So I wonder maybe in the future if he's going to decide to split that work up.
Your circle of, like, the people who support you guys, has it grown? Has it gotten smaller over the course of all the noise outside of this?
Yeah, I want to know where people in the town stand.
So for me personally, I've kept my circle smaller. People that you were friends with or haven't seen in a while, you just don't know where their mind's at.
Yeah.
What they believe. So we've been forced to become very kind of like defensive, not as outgoing as we normally would be. But I think recently we're gaining some more support. I think people have been afraid, you know, to show up to court and, I guess, counter protest to the people that are outside. I think people have been in fear, but I think that's starting to turn. I think people want justice. They don't want this influence of, you know, social media and public perception based off of lies to, you know, to win or to take control of this.
Do you want people to show up with?
We'll take all the support we can get. Yeah, no, we're not going to turn anybody away. I mean, every time we go to court, you know, we're kind of portrayed as the bad guys.
Yeah.
You know, and at the end of the day, it's, you know, we lost a loved one. You know, but somehow we're still, I guess, vilified for just not believing in a crazy conspiracy.
Yeah. On that note, was it hard for you at all? I mean, there were certainly some moments in the case where there were weak spots exposed, right? Like, I think about the...
Oh, man. There are a lot of moments like that. So you guys know where I'm at with the Karen Reed trial. I don't believe in the McCabe's, the Alberts being involved. I do think there's something weird going on there. Like I said, I still can't get over discarding your cell phone at a military base and then separating the SIM card and the phone. Like, I get it. You don't want people to get access to your phone, but, like, is there something else going on there? But anyway, sorry, I'm digressing. I don't really believe in that too much. I was floating that idea, but to me, I was like, I don't know if the evidence really supports that. But where I stand with Karen Reed's involvement, I feel like the state did not do enough to prove shit. I'm so sorry. I just don't. So maybe I'm considered in the middle. I don't know. What would you consider that? I just feel like, I don't know. It really depends on where you want to put your emphasis on. So, like, for me, mine was with the ARCA people. I think they did a really good job testifying on the stand. And then even like the medical examiner that we're all looking forward to hear from, I was like, okay, I want to hear what the medical examiner thinks. And, like, I don't know if just backing up into someone 24 miles an hour, there isn't enough cases of that. But I had a hard time believing if you're going to get backed up that fast. You know, a lot of people are saying, oh, there's no fractures, there's no bruising. Like, maybe the taillight just scraped him, right? But then the glass on the bumper, I don't know. There's just a lot of weak spots. Like, I know she's trying to be a little bit more like, oh yeah, there are some weak spots. No, there was a lot of weak spots. Okay, like we had a lot of issues. This trial was just so hard to watch because it was frustrating. The little tiny answers that we would get would lead to more questions, and that was a huge issue for me.
solo cups. And Trooper Proctor, who now is facing Josh.
Also, I can't. When I hear solo cups and I hear leaf blower, I can't think of it the same way anymore. Yesterday, someone mentioned, "Oh, should I bring a leaf blower?" I instantly thought of leaf blowing evidence in the fucking snow.
Consequences as a result of this. What was it like?
Proctor has been. What's the term? I think he's still. Maybe he's like on unpaid leave. No, he's been. Oh God, I'm sorry. I got like COVID brain right now. Let me look it up. Proctor has been relieved of duty. He's been relieved of duty, but he's still being paid. But does that mean is he gonna testify if they retry Karen Reed? Wait, what's gonna happen with that? Oh boy, I don't know.
For you to listen to those moments that weren't necessarily benefiting the state's case?
Well, as far as at the very early stages, I mean, a crime scene during a blizzard can't be an easy thing to navigate. And yet, they found evidence, they found a sneaker, they found pieces of taillight,
Because I think they literally probably did the best that they could, maybe, but I have a hard time believing that you've never processed a crime scene in the snow or the blizzard. I don't know. There was one guy that went up there and testified. Was like, "Oh, I've never processed a crime scene like this before." It's like, what? You live in Massachusetts? Doesn't it snow there? Doesn't it blizzard there? Don't crimes happen during those times? Like, I don't know. A lot of stuff was really weird to me. But maybe he's telling the truth. Maybe in the 30 years that he's been on the force, he's never done that before. I don't know. Just like how the guy talked about how crime scene tape to seal the paper bag. He's like, "Oh, I don't know what you're talking about." I don't know. There's just a lot of just weird moments like that.
Obviously, you're not going to see everything under a couple feet of snow.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they improvised the best they could. Every investigation is going to be kind of scrutinized to some degree. But they did what they had to do with what they had, and with the weather conditions being what they were. They just, like I said, had to improvise and do the best they could. As far as Michael Proctor's comments, I mean, he even said too they were unprofessional, which we agree with. But this guy, his life's been ruined. Getting his personal cell phone, which was something that should never have happened. Josh Levy should never have been intervened in this. An FBI investigation was launched due to cherry-picked evidence or pieces of discovery that was only provided by the defense. Like, this is
I was wondering how they started the federal investigation, and also who's Josh Levy? Okay, so we're getting some behind-the-scene tea here.
It's pretty unprecedented.
To not even speak to the Norfolk District Attorney's Office, not speak to the Mass Police to see what they have for discovery and evidence. Just to intervene.
The DOJ's general counsel wrote that acting U.S. Attorney for Massachusetts, Josh Levy. Oh. Josh Levy. Because I was like, how did this get in the hands of the feds? The U.S. Attorney's Office for Massachusetts was still determining in August if charges were warranted in a federal investigation connected to the Karen Reed murder case in Canton. That's according to an August 3, 2023 letter the general counsel for the Department of Justice sent in the Norfolk District Attorney's Office. I'm sorry, my nose is having a meltdown right now. So the letter denies a written request by Norfolk DA Michael Morrissey. So that's, I think, technically Lolly's boss, maybe, to have a federal investigation moved out of Massachusetts. The DOJ general counsel wrote that acting U.S. Attorney for Massachusetts, Josh Levy, has a very different opinion of the circumstances in this case than was presented in Mr. Morrissey's letter. It is essential to continue the investigation given this information of which they are aware. The letters do not expressly reveal who the feds are investigating or why. 8 letters spanning 10 months of back and forth between Norfolk DA's office and federal authorities were released to 25 Investigates Monday. Reed's lawyers have cited them in their motion to sanction disqualify the DA's office over the claims of prosecutorial misconduct in her case. DA Morrissey requested the federal investigation be transferred out of Massachusetts in a May 18, 2023 letter in the DOJ's Office of Professional Responsibility. Quote, approximately 3 weeks ago, multiple state witnesses who have been brought before the state grand jury notified the Norfolk DA's office that they were contacted by the FBI and subsequently received subpoenas to appear before a federal grand jury. The letter also reveals acting U.S. Attorney Joshua Levy of U.S. Attorney's Office in Boston told Norfolk County first Assistant District Attorney Lynn Balin, that was a mouthful, that they were conducting an investigation that may involve a number of witnesses in the Commonwealth v. Reed murder case. Morrissey argued that the defense in the Reed case would have a constitutional right to statements or testimony taken by federal investigators. Attorney Balin reminded AUSA Joshua Levy that any statements or testimony taken in an investigation that pertain to any of the witnesses in an ongoing state murder trial may create an ongoing obligation for state prosecutors to provide the defense with access to all information, statements gathered or recorded as a result of the federal investigation, Morrissey wrote. The U.S. Attorney's Office offered the opinion that you can't turn over information you don't have. Boston 25 reached out to U.S. Attorney's Office for additional comment Monday evening. In a June 1, 2023 letter, U.S. DOJ counsel Jeff Ragsdale said the Office of Professional Responsibility has jurisdiction over allegations of misconduct by federal law enforcement, specifically in case of allegations of attorney misconduct. Okay, hi, sorry, let's go back to this.
Himself in that way, and which casted, a shadow of doubt on the investigation. So I think he has a lot of questions that need to be answered.
Yeah. Oh, we're talking about Proctor right now. Problematic Proctor.
Do you get updates on that?
I do not. I do plan on trying to sit down with him at some point.
Yeah.
Whether I got a knock on the door, I sent him an email, but I'm sure I won't get a response. But if I have to go knock on the door and ask for a sit down, that's what I'll do.
Is there anything I haven't asked you about that you want to make sure people know?
In all this, I just want people to remember the actual victim. I think I mentioned it before that it's not the Karen Reed show.
Yeah.
This is about a good man whose life was taken way too soon and for selfish reasons, and has created a void in our life that was already an enormous void, but just made it even that much bigger. And I just want people to remember him and want him to get the justice he deserves and that we deserve. Mm-hmm. And that's Karen Reed going to prison.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know if that's going to happen. Okay, so that's it for today. My headache is getting, it's like spreading out. My nose is having a meltdown. But I wish I could have streamed this with you guys and listened to you guys and, get your guys' opinion on everything. But for me, that is it. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your week. Take care, and I will see you guys in the next stream. We have got another trial coming up next week with Alec Baldwin. So we'll see what happens with that. I think the time zone for that one is a lot more friendlier to me being on the West Coast than this Boston time zone, because I was way too early for me to wake up. But guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope you guys have a good one, and I will see you guys. Bye. Don't get sick, okay? Please don't get sick.